So this is the part of the show where I talk about stuff and I review things. Hi everybody, I am high on Chinese food and I wrote down some things I like and I'm going to talk about them. I'm going to put them in some order, sorta. Mostly TV shows and some books. First of all, I've been reading this book by Johnny Ringo, Live Free or Die. It's an awesome book. It is about this guy, and first there's some aliens. There's some aliens that come to Earth, and they're building like stargates to other solar systems. And the aliens come, and not the ones that built the stargates, but some other aliens, because the first aliens just built the stargates, and they say, okay, you can't kill the stargates, but you do whatever you want. Just don't kill the stargates. It's all we're going to be involved with. And then the other aliens come through, and the bad aliens, they hold Earth hostage and try to like take their monies. But these other aliens are really advanced. They come teach them stuff. And this one guy finds out they don't have anything good to trade them. He gets a bunch of stuff from the grocery store, and they like maple syrup. It's like really good whiskey to them. So he's kind of like one of these booze runners from the 40s, and he starts making millions and billions of dollars, and he buys like all this alien hardware and technology and sells it, and he becomes the richest man on Earth. And then he starts like mining asteroids and buying spaceships and getting cybernetic implants and stuff. And he's like, he doesn't treat the aliens like they're different species. He's just like, he's chill with the aliens, and he talks to them normal, and he just, becomes their friends. And everybody else is all like behind because he thinks a certain way, and he gets everything done and builds a giant Death Star at the end, which is where I'm almost at. And as you look at this Death Star real close, there's like a Spartan helmet on the front of it. I think he's going to make it because it's called Troy, and the third book's called Troy Uprising or something. No, it's called Hot Gates, which is from 300 Spartans. And I'm not drunk, you guys. This is just what I thought I would sound like if I was drunk. I'm just going to talk normally from now on, okay? It's pretty much an awesome book. Like, it starts out with it's more of a cultural kind of thing at the beginning about the aliens and technology and stuff, and then it starts getting into like scientific aspects of where he's talking to all these different scientists, and the government's trying to betray him, and he has to like have balls enough to take on the government and the alien governments and the alien overlords all at the same time, and just like by a sheer force of will and stick with it, he pretty much overcomes a bunch of shit. And it's like a whole bunch of good stuff in one. It's a constant page turner. I highly recommend this book. And I've heard this guy Werner Vinge is good too, but I haven't read him yet. I also finished this book the other day. It's like the Monster Hunter series I talked about before, where they get really detailed with guns and bullets, and they hunt monsters. And this one is like, it departed from the normal characters, and it's like about this main guy who runs the organization. It's a werewolf, so it was really good too. Also the Jim Butcher books, if you read those, the last two I read were really getting better. Like, he's starting to come into his own in the series. Started out really good. First three books were great, and then I started getting in like the Summer Night series, which is about like these fairies and stuff and the vampire courts, and then I kind of drifted off a little bit, but now it's all starting to come together and make more sense. I like the last two Jim Butcher Harry Dresden books, where he's like a wizard private detective in Chicago. And that's all I got on books. But now I'm going to tell you about some TV shows. I've got these kind of sorted because I want to talk about like my favorite shows of this season. And I've got the half-hour shows, which is like comedies, sitcoms in one group, and I've got like the hour shows, which is mostly dramas and crazy stuff in one group. And I was going to do a top 10, but I got more than 10, so I'm just going to start at the bottom and work my way up. And I don't have any Battlestar Galactica or Stargates in these because this is just current TV shows. I think those are all, they ended. And I don't think there's any good sci-fi out right now. If there is, somebody can recommend it. I wish there was like another good sci-fi show like that, but I don't know of any right now. And I kind of got some other shows that I left out. 2.5 Men is not on this list because it's a piece of shit show. So if anybody's expecting 2.5 Men to be on my list, it's not. Some days I couldn't figure out what category to put them in because they're not really like sitcom or comedies or anything really. Like Penn and Teller's Bullshit is an awesome show, but it's not on my list. And everything Ricky Gervais does, I don't really know where to put it because it's not really. Yeah, it's not a sitcom or anything. It's just like stuff that Ricky Gervais produces, like Ricky Gervais Show, which is just his podcast, which I've already heard, put it in a cartoon form. And Idiot Abroad is really good, but it's like a travel show, but it's funny. And then Life's Too Short, which you just started about that midget that was on Star Wars. That's kind of funny because it's about how nobody knows him, and then I forget his name. Warwick Davis, I think is his name. Yes. So anyway, those are all great shows, but they're not on my list. And starting at the bottom, these are pretty much in order. Not really exact, but at the bottom I've got Modern Family on my 30-minute shows. And this will probably be kind of surprising because whenever I hear celebrities talking about their favorite sitcoms right now, they all say Modern Family, but to me it's like not that great. It's kind of too fake. Like if I was really discerning and had to choose what shows I was watching, I wouldn't probably watch it. But I watch so many shows that I do. So it's a good show, nothing wrong with it, but it's not my favorite. Next I've got, let's see, this really should be, I'm going to say The Middle here. I like The Middle. It's a good show. Kind of reminds me of Roseanne. It's in Indiana. It takes place in Indiana, like a small town in the middle of America, and it's like a regular sitcom family show. I like watching it. The characters are pretty interesting. Then I'm going to say, I'm going to say How I Met Your Mother here. It could probably be higher up on the list. This is Double D's favorite show, but I think it's just because she hasn't seen a lot of these other shows. Otherwise, she'd probably like them better. Everybody pretty much agrees it's a great show. It's got Neil Patrick Harris, who's awesome in it, so definitely makes the list. But there's like somewhere between 15 and 20 shows on my list, so it's a pretty big list. Next, I'm going to say Death Valley, which is I think an MTV or maybe Comedy Channel show. It has Brian Callen in it, and it's got this really hot chick. What is her name? I'm going to look it up because I think she's going to be famous for being hot. Katie Lotz. See, I remembered it just as I look it up. Whenever I look stuff up, I always remember it, like right before I see it. Yeah, Katie Lotz is pretty hot, and it's pretty much an MTV show about these cops. It's like Cops, but they're fighting werewolves and zombies and undead and stuff. So, not your typical show. They kind of make a joke about it, kind of like Reno 911 mixed with Walking Dead, which is also on my list, by the way. Now I'm going to say Happy Endings should probably be next on my list. It's a pretty good average comedy sitcom. See, I don't know if that should be like above How I Met Your Mother. It should probably be below that. But I do like it. It's got a really hot chick on there too. So, don't know where to put these. Then I'm going to say probably Raising Hope, which is another comedy sitcom. Very good. Kind of like the setting in it because it's like a really grungy, crappy neighborhood house and everything. Everything's all like lived in looking. Kind of like The Middle or Roseanne. That's what I really liked about the old Roseanne show. Everything looked lived in, looked realistic. Like Modern Family, everything's all clean. It's too fake. Looks like a fucking set. I don't like that shit. I like some grit in my shows. Then I'm going to have to go with. See, this isn't a comedy, so it's probably higher up just because it's actually good content. I'm going to go with How to Make It in America. If you haven't seen this show, it's about these two guys in New York trying to start their own brand of jeans and clothing. And it doesn't sound good from the plot of it, but it's actually a really awesome show. And they get into all these hijinks with this guy who's like the cousin of the one dude, and he tries to lend him money, and he's like a gangster, and he's starting up his own brand of like energy drink, and just the whole process of how it all happens and how stuff goes down is pretty interesting to me. I like the show. Then I'm going to have to say Parks and Recreation should probably be next up. Yeah. That's the Amy Poehler Show from Saturday Night Live. Got some other good characters in it. Really good comedians on the show. Good writers. But, I don't know, it just doesn't hold my attention as well as some of the other shows on the list. So, moving up from there, I've got The League. That's a new show about this fantasy football team league. Really good comedy writing, everything really good, and you've probably heard of it. And then above that, I've got The Office. Of course, that's kind of been around a while, but it's still holding its own. Not as good as it used to be, but still really good. And I'm getting the shows where, like, I really look forward to these shows. I'm kind of addicted to them, and I crave them every week. And The Office is one of those. And then you got above that Hung, which I think Hung used to be an hour-long show, and then they changed it to half hour. It's on HBO, I think. It's got like a lot of nudity. It's about this guy who has a really big dick, and he's like a gym or he's like a football coach at a high school and a teacher, and he has to become like a prostitute. This woman doesn't really know that much about it, but she becomes his pimp, and like it's pretty funny. And above that, I got Community, which is Stormcloud's favorite show about community college. Troy and Abed. Got the guy from. There's a guy that used to be on YouTube that plays Troy, and Chevy Chase is in it, and the chick from Mad Men is in there, and it's just a really good show. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's awesome. And then I've got above that IT Crowd, because I like it just a little bit better than Community, but then it's a British show, and it's only like 6 episodes a year maybe they put out, and I'm not even sure if it's coming back, but according to this website it says it's pending and it'll be back, so if it comes back, IT Crowd is like one of my favorite half-hour shows ever. And there's another British show I forgot to put on the list. What was it called? How Not to Live Your Life. Yeah. That was a really good show also. I don't know if it's coming back or not. And then we're getting into like our top 6 half-hour shows now. And number 6, I got Louis C.K.'s Louie on there. Awesome show. I don't know. Somehow Louie, I like watching it, but it's not as funny as the stand-up comedy. There's something like it's missing, seems like. But it's an awesome show. Or am I just saying that because I like Louis C.K. so much? I don't know. Is the show as good as I expected it to be? Maybe not, but it's still better than a lot of shows. So I think it deserves number 6. Number 5, Big Bang Theory. Fantastic show. And you're wondering, like, how Big Bang Theory, how's it number 5? It's like probably number 1 or 2 on like all the websites out now or something, right? Well, I got a lot of good shows on my list. And I don't even have Trailer Park Boys on there because it ended. So Trailer Park Boys is one of the greatest half-hour shows of all time. And it's not even on my list because it's over with, I think. It may be coming back someday. It's one of those shows that actually, if they got the money together, they could throw it together again, maybe. Above that, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That is the Trailer Park Boys of America, where Trailer Park Boys is in Canada. It's got Danny DeVito. It's got the Whatchamacallum something guys that wrote it. I think the people that write it star in it. I can't remember. They're not really well-known actors, except for Charlie Day. He was on Saturday Night Live the other day, so he might be more well-known. Not really sure. So, Always Sunny in Philadelphia. You have to see that. If you haven't seen it, get all of them. Watch them all. They're hilarious. Above that, I've got Eastbound and Down, which I assume is coming back. According to this website, it is, but I don't know. It may be in the process of possibly getting canceled, even though it's one of the best shows out there. It's got Kenny Powers, who is played by... It also has Will Ferrell in it sometimes, and I don't know the guy's name who plays Kenny Powers, but he's awesome in anything he does. Above that, this is a show you probably don't know about, but it's my number 2 show of all the half-hour comedies. It's very underrated, unknown, Workaholics. Check it the fuck out. It's one of the funniest shows on right now. Actually, it's funnier than the number 1 show sometimes. The number 1 show right now is not coming on right now because it's in between seasons. So, number 1 is Curb Your Enthusiasm. Larry David, the guy who made Seinfeld, about his life and stuff. I'm sure you know about Curb Your Enthusiasm. Everybody knows about Curb. But Workaholics definitely is surprising how good it is. It's about these three dudes working in an office. It's kind of like that movie Office Space, but more crazy and more like out there with like drugs and booze and whores and crazy shit happening all the time. There was actually a scene the other day with Workaholics where the guy pulled his pants down and he had his dick tucked between his legs, so he didn't really show his dick. And I was wondering, could you show that on TV? Or could you not? I guess it's fine since there's no actual dick. But man, this show pushes some limits, some boundaries. Now we're getting to our hour-long dramas and stuff, and I've got 3 shows I want to mention that were ended too early. These are shows that are off now, I think. They got canceled. They were the Chicago Code, which had one of my favorite bands, Smashing Pumpkins, or maybe it's just Billy Corgan, did the intro music for it. And it was like one of those cop dramas. It's actually good. Like, there's some cop dramas on right now that didn't get canceled that probably should have got canceled before Chicago Code, because Chicago Code was all about corruption and stuff, and it was really interesting to watch. Unlike like Rookie Blue, it was good, but it's probably not as good as Chicago Code, or what's that undercover? Blue Bloods, or the one about the undercover guys. Yeah, those aren't really as good as Chicago Code was. Then you got Men of a Certain Age, which had some famous people. I can't think of their names at all. One guy was on Quantum Leap. One guy was on Everybody Loves Raymond. And the other guy was a black guy. Why can't I think of their names? I don't know. Sometimes I just blank out. The other show is Lights Out, which is about a boxer who was he was a retired champion boxer, and like he was getting he was having to go back and fight again, although he was getting that disease from getting knocked in the head too many times. What do you call that? Dementia. So that was a really awesome show. I can't believe it ended. It was so good. And I'm just gonna move this like this. Yeah. Now, the main reason I want to make this video is because of this next show, which I'm putting into my best new series category. Just saw the first 2 episodes last week, and it blew my fucking mind how good this show is. I've got the 3rd one, but I haven't watched it yet, and I really want to watch it, and like right now I'm dying to watch it. This show is like different. Like most series are actually series, and they start and end with cliffhangers sort of, and then leads into the next episode. But this is completely, every episode is its own story, encapsulated with a beginning and ending. So the first show was about this guy blackmails, or like he kidnaps a woman, and he makes the Prime Minister of England fuck a pig. Is kind of the idea behind it, which sounds like something that I would come up with. Like, that sounds like a T2 thing. Like, what if you did this? What if you tried to make a Prime Minister fuck a pig? What if you like put him in like a room and you trapped him or something, or like you forced him to do it? Like, what would happen? And like the twists and turns and the ending of how like what it all means and everything is all like, it blows your fucking mind. And so it's called Black Mirror, because it makes you look at a mirror like, this is what people are like, this is society, and it like makes you see the world like if you were stoned or on shrooms. And the second episode does the same thing, only it's more technical, and if you're into video games and internet and stuff like that, you're really gonna like it, because it's about this futuristic world where people pedal on bicycles to create electricity, and in the meantime they watch stupid reality TV shows. So it's kind of about how we're inundated with reality TV and how we buy virtual currency, the stuff that's actually not worth anything and meaningless, and we just whore each other out for sex and everything, and how everything could possibly progress. So that was really mind-blowing. 3rd episode, I have no idea what it's going to be. So, fucking Black Mirror, check that shit out. And also I've got for a new series, Terra Nova, which is about people going back in time from the future. So in the future, the world is almost unlivable because it's all dried out and there's no resources. So they find this rip in the fabric of time that goes back to the dinosaur time. So they all have this lottery to get sent back to prehistoric times and start again with advanced weaponry and shit. with dinosaurs. So fucking A. I thought there was going to be aliens at the beginning, but I don't think it is. I think it's just this really genius guy trying to figure out a way to go back and forth that wheel instead of just being able to go back. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 shows of like. These are shows that were on last season. I think most of the top is new. Well, some of them. Yeah, some of these are on their second season, but these are all like. I've got Supernatural on here, House, Grey's Anatomy, Fringe, Burn Notice, which probably isn't as good a quality as these other shows, but it's like every week I look forward to it. It's like a weekly little thing for me to watch Burn Notice at the beginning of my work day. And then True Blood and Dexter. And these are all like the best shows of like the last couple of years. These have been on a while. But everybody knows about them. There's not really anything important to talk about because they're popular enough already. And then also I've got The Good Wife, which is one of my favorite shows, and Harry's Law. I think both of these are legal dramas that David Kelly does. Like anytime David Kelly touches something, it's like the Midas touch. It turns to gold. He did The Practice. He did Boston Legal. I think he did Boston Public. And any kind of legal drama I think he's involved in or he writes. So David Kelly's the fucking bomb. And then when you get up into my top tier of like top 8, I guess, shows, I've got this new show Homeland on there at the bottom. It's about a guy coming back from Iraq, and he may be a spy for Al Qaeda. And this chick Claire Danes is playing this woman trying to catch him in the act and spying on him and shit from the government. It's also got Mandy Patinkin in it, who is a good actor, and it's just a fucking brilliant show. And the main guy is the guy that was on that show Life. I don't know his name, but he's a really good actor too. So it's chock full of good actors. I think it's also got the chick from V, the Alien show, where she was like the queen of the mothership. You know, that chick from V shows her titties in it. So didn't expect that. A little bonus. Get to see that chick's titties. Above that, I've got Game of Thrones. That'd probably be like 7th on my list. A lot of you are probably like, what do you mean, T2? Game of Thrones is 7th? And no, actually it would be way lower on my list because I would put Dexter and True Blood above that. Probably Supernatural and House and Grey's Anatomy too, actually. Game of Thrones is one of those shows that, like, it's good, but it's a fantasy show, and there's like been a lot of fantasy shows come out that weren't as good as Game of Thrones is, but it's not really anything new. Like anytime there's some kind of like fantasy show, I don't know why people will like Game of Thrones, but they overlook like Merlin or that Robin Hood show that was on the UK for a while, and what was that one show? It was like, I can't even describe it really, but I don't know. Game of Thrones is kind of like Skyrim, actually, when you think about it. But like a lot of people just latched onto it and like it, so it kind of got popular. I guess it does kind of something to it that's better than most of these fantasy shows, so it's on my list at least. I'm not ignoring it. And above that, I've got Boardwalk Empire, Steve Buscemi. It's about Atlantic City and the whole Prohibition era stuff with there's racist stuff in it. There's like this awesome sniper guy with half his face blown off. There's just all kinds of crazy like gangster shit. It's awesome. Then I've got Being Human. That's the British show about a vampire, werewolf, and a ghost living together. They actually made this into an American show, which I don't like as good, but it's a little bit different. But the UK version is way better. Hopefully it'll start coming back on again. And that was like number 5. Number 4, I have The Walking Dead. I'm sure you've probably heard of it. It's a zombie show based on a comic book written by a guy from my state, and it's just great. It's on AMC. AMC is really putting out some good content. Didn't they put out like this new show, Hell on Wheels, about building trains in America and stuff? That's a good show too, but it's not up there with these other shows yet. But Walking Dead, the last episode I saw was crazy, blew my mind. They've been looking for this girl for like forever, and then she turns up in an unexpected place. I won't give away too many of the circumstances if you haven't seen it yet, but Fucking great show. Number 3, I have Spartacus. Now that could be Gods of the Arena or Blood and Sand or the next iteration that they're going to make. Just anything to do with Spartacus and this new Spartacus team or whatever they're working on. They had some trouble. The main actor got sick, and I think he might have actually died. They're replacing him. But the acting, the writing, the photography, everything in the show is just top notch. It's like a movie. And there's a lot of nudity in it, and a lot of violence, and a lot of stuff that makes you think about how Roman society was and how people are. And Spartacus is just brilliant. And I got 2 shows above it, so that can tell you how good these shows are. I've got Breaking Bad, which I've already talked about a lot, probably. That's another AMC show, Breaking Bad. It also has a lot of grit and realism to it. And also the number 1 show on my list, which is... I'm just getting the video here. No, I'm going to tell you, it's Shameless. I think it's an HBO show. Also has a lot of grit. It's about this girl who... Well, it's about her whole family, pretty much. And her dad is a big drunk. And I think her mom died. But her dad's like a huge drunk, and she has to take care of her whole family, and they all pretty much are all fucked up and on drugs, and one of her brothers is gay, and she only has, the other brother's like this really smart guy, but he's broke and shit, so he has to like game the system. They all like know all these tricks about gaming the system for like welfare and disability and figuring out ways to make money and stealing shit, and they're all like corrupt as hell, but they're really lovable characters. Like all the characters are really fucking interesting, but they're all like criminals. It's kind of like the way you like Dexter in a way, but it's all really gritty, and there's like a bunch of sexual aspects to it. Like the dad gets seduced by a 16, 17-year-old girl and gets filmed and put on the internet, I think is where they left it. So I haven't seen the new episode yet to see what happens there, but it's awesome. There's this woman that's like got like pretty much like a hikikomori. She's stuck in her house and she can't leave, and what else to say? I mean, that alone. The girl's dating a car thief also, so she has to deal with that. So there's like all this juggling act of dealing with shit all the time. Just always something cool happening on the show. I love it. It's probably my favorite show right now. So I give it number 1. Shameless, Breaking Bad, Spartacus, Walking Dead, Being Human, Boardwalk Empire. And then you get fucking True Blood and Dexter and all those other good shows. So, there's like 20 good hour-long dramas on right now. So, amazing world we live in right now, TV-wise. It's good to be alive in this era. How long was that? 28 minutes I've been talking? This is a fucking podcast. Also, just a quick note. Friday, which is tomorrow, by the time you see this, I will be working 12 hours a day, every day, until January 2nd or 3rd, or something like that. Pretty much 85-something hours a week. So, I won't be probably putting out any videos or being available to play games or anything. So, be warned, I will be gone for the next couple weeks on hiatus, and I'll return whenever I get a chance. Unless I get bored, I have like an hour or something, I throw together something. Might happen.